One thing about Illustrator that's kind of important to understand is that we do have layers like we have in Photoshop, but for a simple job, it's a little bit less necessary to use a lot of layers because with vector art, we can rearrange this stuff. It's not like Photoshop where everything is created using pixels, and once you deselect something, it's attached to that layer and anything else that's on that layer. So let's say I want to create some other kind of shape here. Let's make a little starburst. So in the star tool, I click, and I can choose different radiuses. I can have a certain number of points. Let's say I'm making some kind of starburst on here. I don't like that. Let me try again. Oops. So I'm going to put, like, I don't know, the seal of approval on here or something like that. You do have a swatches panel that you can use to what you can do is you can create new colors using, well, there's a couple ways that you can create colors. You can go to the, in this case, if I want to fill this with a color, I can just click on this fill swatch, double click on it, and then I can use this color picker and I can choose the color from here. So let's say I want this to be some kind of gold seal of approval or yellow seal of approval. Another option I have is the swatches. So if I go to swatches, by default there's just black, white, there's a registration color, and then there's none. If I click on this options, I can access some swatch libraries which are predetermined color combinations. So I like to use these. Let's say I want to use foods, and let's try vegetables, and I get several pre-made swatches here, which I can pick directly. So if I click on my object and then I click on a swatch, it's going to change the color. I can also drag these color schemes into my swatches panel if I want. So what I'm doing to drag this entire color scheme, these are little folder icons here. So imagine that all these little swatches are inside of this folder. I'm clicking and dragging on the folder and then just releasing the mouse button once it's inside of the swatches panel. Remember that if any of these, let's say you lose your layers panel, you accidentally close up that layers panel, you can go to Window and then choose Layers, and it'll open up again for you. All right. So what was I going to show you? Oh, the fact that you can layer or place objects on top of other objects, and you can go back later and you can move them around. Another thing that you can do is you can arrange objects on in top to bottom. So let's say that I want this seal of approval to go behind this pizza. Then I could click on the pizza and I could right click and choose Arrange and choose Bring to Front, and that will bring it forward. So imagine each one of these items, if these were cut out from sheets of paper and you were just placing them one on top of the other, you can always rearrange the order. It's kind of like a stacking order is how I would describe it. All right, and then the last thing I want to show you is the type tool. So it's very similar to the type tool in Photoshop. Click on the T, click to create some text, or actually, yeah, there's my blinking cursor. It's actually kind of hard to see in the red, but I'll go ahead and type something in. So I'm going to type in Joe's Pizza. All right, and Oops. And the same thing, you have some type options. So go to Window and go to Type and choose Character. And within the character window, you've got a paragraph window nested as well. So you can choose things like alignment. So maybe I want to align this center. Character, I want to resize this. I can do that. All right, I can change the color. So here's the fill and the stroke. Again, we're going to want the fill. Let's say I want this white. And I can change the font. So you should be familiar with this interface from other Adobe software. Make sure that you're adjusting the tracking. Something like this you can use kerning for, so there's a really big space between the apostrophe and the S, so kerning is the setting that allows you to adjust the space between individual letters. I'm going to put some negative kerning on there to close up that space. So it's already a lot. All right. And I can resize this. I don't necessarily have to choose a font size for this. If I want to resize, I can just use my selection tool and click and drag and resize it that way. And I can rotate this. Again, hold the Shift key to lock it to 45 degrees. Right, and I've got Joe's Pizza. I've got the start of a cover for Joe's Pizza. I've got some of the basic elements in place. All right. Again, this is just for demo purposes. You're going to want for your pizza box again to make it look as realistic as possible.